G'day listeners, Sammy Gordon here from Australian Property Scout. If you're loving all the property investment content over here at SBI, you will love the Scouting Australia podcast. Hosted by myself alongside my good mate and experienced investor Jimmy Ibrahim, we unpack everything from real investor stories, mindset hacks, and a massive amount of property investment strategies and much, much more. Check us out over at the Scouting Australia podcast and take your investing to a new level.
This is a Momentum Media production.
Welcome to the Smart Property Investment Show, the podcast by investors for investors.
G'day, how you going? Phil Tarrant, host of the Smart Property Investment Show. Hope you're well. Just coming off the back of the big award program, Reb Awards for 2024. This is a big nationwide national awards program for real estate, the best of the best. They battle it out on an equal footing. Most real estate awards are connected with a franchise group or a state-based awards program. The Reb Awards are the pinnacle for excellence inside of real estate, and I get the great benefit to catch up with all of the different winners post-event. One of them is Arjun Paliwal for 2 years running. His business InvestorKit won Buyer's Agency of the Year. This is a group award. It's a business award. He's done it again. Most thought he couldn't do it. He's the only organisation that has done this 2 years in a row. So obviously something's going right. I brought him into the studio. Don't know how hungover he is. He's probably, and I know he had a whole team there on the night having quite a lot of fun, try and work out what makes InvestorKit the Buyer's Agency of the Year 2 years in a row. Arjun, how you going? Good to see you, mate.
Great to be on, and fortunately I wasn't one of those, even with the win, to have a hangover because I've definitely toned that back a fair bit. So feeling good, actually.
Well, I saw your team on the evening and they looked pretty happy. A few tables there, I think. There's a big cohort of the InvestorKit crew. What do you call your crew? Is it like, are you called InvestorKittians or something or other? Or have you come up with the monkey area of that yet?
Oh, look, we're InvestorKit kittens are probably not that cute just yet. Yeah. But no, look, no name for the crew just yet. Whatever we want to call us, the A-team or something like those lines. But no, we enjoyed the moment. That awards night was very special because you don't go into there expecting to go back to back. We were humbled to say that we're in the stage for running for number 2. We're still buzzing off the back of last year's win and how much of an impact that's made to our confidence, our motivation, what we do and the belief in it. But going back to back was just a whole new thing. Yeah.
Well, it's good to see, and I was very happy with you. I deliberately have no idea, and obviously Reb Awards is produced, created and managed by Momentum Media. I was part of the Reb framework, but because I know pretty much every single person in real estate and there is hundreds of finalists there on the night, I deliberately don't want to know what happens. So that means I could look at people in the eyes beforehand. There might be 10 finalists for this particular awards and say, best of luck, I have no idea. So I was happy that you guys won it. But I'm very aware and conscious of your organisation. I've learned a lot about it over the last couple of years as, you know, our sort of ecosystems as interconnected. But it's a big deal, right? 2 years in a row. Why do you reckon? What do you reckon you got up?
Yeah, it's a good question. Firstly, if you start off with any business or any awards category, it starts with results on a client level. It starts with results at a business and financial level. But then going deeper, if I unpack the whys, the first thing in the transformation piece has been really consistency. This last financial year where the awards were based on, consistency was the biggest difference maker. And with that, I want to give you an example. When it came to some of the things that we wanted to make sure we were known for in the transformation of our business, it was to be known for giving the most information that's factual, that makes a positive difference to people from the elements of property investing data. And using that data without struggling with the interpretation and actually getting meaningful outcomes, whether that be a trend that we pick up or whether that be a shift in a market that's performing well or about to slow down, whichever. No bias attached, no strings attached. Every location around the country we could observe, we could talk about and share it. And so when it came to the big transformation, I said to the team, guys, the world of consumers in this industry and just in general is changing. And we spoke about this last year, Phil, because last year is when we started this and when we won the first year's award. But going back to back, it was a double down. And what that trend was that consumers are smarter than ever. So we don't have an information problem. Information is there. People do not need us as professionals to say where do I go? They can get that on their own. They don't need us as professionals to say, what's the data saying? They can get that on their own. They just need two things. They need genuine and strategic execution to save them from their time poor, paralysis by analysis, lack of relationships, or comfort with the process. And secondly, they need masterful interpretation of the data. And so what that allowed us to do is it switched our focus from being hidden, secretive, hotspots, locations, and we said, hey, here is everything for you. The engine room of a team of research that has 7 people in our research division, from data scientist to head of research myself, to senior research analyst and junior research analyst. Here's all our production. And what that production looked like was a deep university level thesis research paper every single month. It looked like 4 extremely deep blog posts that were news and insights that challenged myths, busted them, gave insights that were today and up to date every single month. It became 4 podcasts on the InvestorKit show. It became a podcast on the Property Nerds show. And that too, we've now gone from monthly to fortnightly, really going deep there. There's been a huge amount of change. So when it came to our information, at least between 12 and 16 times a month, our audience, whether they were clients or non-clients, were getting the best real estate data information out there in the market to be comfortable. And that big transformation set us up because now we were treating consumers as they should be treated. Smart individuals that want to better their future, that will come to you when they feel the time is right for execution. Let them make the best decisions on where, why, what, and then you're there if needed. And that shift was a big transformation for us because we weren't going, let's be the best buyer's agent possible. It was, no, let's be the best providers of useful information. And then we're here as buyer's agents when customers need us, not the other way around, which businesses often do.
So strategically, that's an interesting approach that you've taken, and you talk about transformation. Why did you feel as though you needed to transform the business? What was the catalyst for that?
Yeah, I think there was a clear sign that when I saw both the industry and where consumers and then the business altogether was going, I just felt that more and more we needed to go into a space where we were a research company that buys property rather than a property buying company that can help you out with some research. Now, we'd always envisioned that, but the plan takes many years to get there. We did not start this business with 7 people in the research division. It built over time. But the vision was always there that we wanted to be researchers that buy property, not property buyers that research. And that's the same with anything, because if you don't have that segmentation, you become a one person that tries to be an expert in everything, and we all know how that goes. It doesn't go so well. And so that same way the clients focus on their best things at work and what they do for a living, and that's how they produce the outcomes in their life, whether that's more time for themselves, travel, investing, or just financial success, personal success. We want to make sure that our company's built on the same principles where we get specialists in every area. And that's where the transformation had the vision 5 years ago, coming towards 6 now. But the actual reality is now hit, where we can have specialists in researching, and we just happen to buy property on the side.
So this doctrine, I guess you can call it, where you want to be researchers that buy property rather than property buyers that research. This has been an organic development for your organisation. We're talking about the business of real estate here, not specifically property investment. So I'm intrigued by InvestorKit as a company. Who do you surround yourself with to help you formulate these structural changes to your organisation, these philosophical changes to your organisation at a doctrinal level to help you shape to make sure you're making the right decisions? Like saying, hey, wear this rather than this is a big deal, right? And it's going to be hard to come back from that. You're down this pathway now of being a research company who happens to also acquire property. But if you're a research company, you can also do other things other than just acquire property. And no doubt that's where you're heading in the future. But who do you surround yourself with to make sure you've got the best sort of leadership team?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And that's a big thing that's been new to us over the last couple of years, right? The first 3 to 4 years were spent on Arjun and surround myself with help. And now it is that leadership team and that growth. I find, with regards to the researching part, technology plays a lot more of an impact than people do. And then the people that we hire on bring us for masterful interpretation of that technology. And so this is where the world of AI and everything that's coming in, that's probably the first part. When it comes to the leadership team, when it comes to mentors and leaders that I lean on for support, I don't think we need to change anything or I go to different people due to the way the business is transforming. I still go to the same people when it comes to, hey, how can I lead people better? How can I be more effective as a leader to guide the team, just coming close to 40 now, in the right direction where we need to make sure that our values are all aligned, Our focus for our clients is all aligned. We're staying within our respective swim lanes of expertise. So I think that, like any business, whether it's buyer's agency or whether it's a restaurant down the road or whether it's anything, that leadership support of people and human understanding, I'm learning a lot on that. And I think that's where that doesn't change, or I need specialist support. And it's more people who are doing things maybe a few years longer than I have, been on this earth longer than I have, seen the ups and downs of people, life, business. I'm still getting a lot of mentors across these spaces. But when it comes to the technological shift, with the technology that's globally, not just here in Australia, trying to learn about, hey, the advancements that are happening in other parts of the world and trying to look at how we bring that internally. So I think from a research element and heading down that transition, yes, it's been built over time. But at the end of the day, from that leadership part and navigating the business, people are people at the end of the day, and that's what we all got to get better at.
There's one more stat here I want to sort of work through, Arjun. We'll just go to another break. Stay with us. Back in a moment.
Are you looking to invest for a big return, but are unsure which suburb is up and coming and guaranteed to give you the most bang for your buck? Smart Property Investment and Pure Property Investment have unveiled the Fast 50 report for 2025, identifying the suburbs backed by research that are giving investors the highest returns. Don't make any investing decisions until you read the free report. Visit smartpropertyinvestment.com.au to download the report.
Welcome back. Phil Tarrant from Smart Property Investment with Arjun Paliwal from InvestorKit. What do you like most about your job?
Yeah, I would say the best part now, after the years have gone on, is actually looking at a moment where you reflect and you go, hold on a minute. Wind the clock back 4 years ago. They were up to their second property 4 years ago. Now they're up to their eighth. And it's not the quantity that matters. It's now the impact that that person's having on their lives. And so what I remember vividly, there was a coffee catch-up with one of our clients. He actually appeared on the show recently. His name's Aman Sethi. Talked about his journey and built a $10 million portfolio with us, over 8 properties purchased with our team, and we started that journey in 2019. When I caught up with him for coffee, the biggest thing that we were talking about was how much risk he's taking in business and growth he's actually actively pursuing in business as a result of his property portfolio. And I was trying to put the 2 and 2 together, and this made me really see things differently. He didn't say that the growth was happening because his assets grew. It's the psychological part of knowing when you're a business owner and you've built a really healthy portfolio. Long-term, the power of compounding wealth is going to protect you and your family, is going to set you up for your future, and you're likely going to be okay. How often can you go up to any business owner and tell them, you're going to be okay? Oh, no, you can't, because business is a fire that you're constantly putting out every day, whether it's small ones, large ones, people, technology, process, compliance. There's never-ending worlds in businesses, whatever business you run. So for him to tell me at that coffee table to go, we're now investing in this marketing, we're taking bigger risks, we're hiring more team members, I was dissecting the why, and it's because he just solidified his personal wealth building journey so much that compounding, he goes to sleep, wakes up, each year based on 5% growth rates below long-term averages, it's $500,000 of building compounding wealth. That's powerful for anyone's mindset. So that is now my favorite part, to give people that mindset of invincibility. Not that property is perfect every day, but invincibility that you're going to be okay for your family if you're not in business because you started today what you needed to build for the future. Or in business, you're going to have the risk to take more meaningful decisions in your business to hit stretch goals that you want to set because you solidified your personal wealth building journey for the long term.
Yeah, and it's important. And you find a lot of property investors have that moment of realization where they fall in love with compounding capital growth and actually understand what it means as a mechanism for doing what they want to do better. And for some people, that might mean working less and spending time with family and traveling or whatever. But for other people, to actually have that certainty or confidence around personal wealth building through compounding capital growth means they can do better in their work. There's an old mantra of make your money in business and park it in property, and that's how a lot of people get going. And for some people, that might be their PAYG and they're channeling all their money into real estate. And by doing that, it might open up a new world where they can actually go into business for themselves. The other side is, and you're talking about your client there, that it just empowers him to do better in business because he's got the weight of ongoing compounding capital growth inside of his portfolio. It allows him to make more informed and maybe ambitious business decisions. So, this is how property operates and works. And you're obviously dialed in with client outcomes. It sounds as though that's what drives a lot of your personal satisfaction through work, but also how you frame the structure of the organization and how you deploy your people to make sure that people are getting the right results, because you're only as good as the last property or the last client that you turn into a property investor, no doubt.
Absolutely. And on the client outcomes, one thing I took a moment to reflect on the way here when we were chatting was actually how much there is similarities between the journey I'm on and the journey I'm taking the clients on. And that was very important to me, 6 years ago when everything started. It was that I would try my best to walk the walk, and then the talk would match with it. That was my best attempts. I was really focusing on, I'm not going to tell someone to do something that I haven't personally done or I won't personally do. And that philosophy 6 years on has lived through, because if I'm not growing, how can I see my clients see me as an inspiration for my portfolio or a pathway of strategies that work? And so that was really big for me on my personal portfolio journey to do the same thing. And then it came through to client outcomes, because now as I was taking a step back, I was telling myself, what kind of strategies and outcomes for clients' portfolios have started to come together, and how similar is it to the pathway I took? And the strategy that we follow at InvestorKit is that we take on clients on a journey through foundation assets, momentum assets, passive assets. And then we build clients into what we call phases. Acquisition phase, optimize phase, consolidate. The exact approach that I took for my portfolio. So, quick 2-minute part on each. Foundation assets are assets that are in major markets with larger purchase prices, usually in the vicinity of 600K to $1 million. Major cities are defined as capital cities, satellite cities, not because of performance. This is the part that everyone gets wrong. They think, you're putting it together because of performance, and that's where capitals do this and regions do that. No, we've debunked that many times. The regional markets do just as good. You have many choices in Australia that do just as well. It's actually about investor psychology. Very few investors are willing to give up their whole mental belief of everything that they know on property to suddenly go, let's go into the regional markets. It's very rare. Yes, we want to respectfully challenge, and we do that every time with the data. But at the same time, I know the importance of you having 1 or 2 psychologically sound, long-term 20-year hold assets in your portfolio. A Brizzy, an Adelaide, a Perth, a Sydney, Melbourne, wherever that may be, a major foundation. Now, you don't want to sit too long in this phase, because what happens? Yields aren't high enough, diversity isn't high enough, and then you aren't able to get that critical scale, also because you're not timing it well, you're focusing on the psychological piece. So we now move to momentum. Wherever the data goes, the numbers say affordable, high-yielding growth. And now, because you've had some foundation, your mind should be nice and wide open. You should be open to where property investing takes you, because you've got your quote-unquote blue chip shares in your stock portfolio, if we're trying to take a stock example. Wherever the numbers go, whether it was Townsville, Rockhampton, whether it was Bendigo, whether it was Burnie, Tasmania, wherever the numbers go, we're going to see what happens here. And this is where the majority of acquisitions take place, because you build diversity. And then passive. You've got a big holding. You're going to be okay compounding wealth. And to be honest, every next residential property is probably just an extra kitchen and a bathroom to worry about. And this is the point where we go, it's all about bringing home income and looking back at your chess pieces in the future and realizing that when you look back, you're probably going to have a few assets that have grown way more than others, and we should get rid of them if you need to get the high income assets debt free. This is stuff like commercial, unit blocks, duplexes, triplexes. And so when we went on this journey and combined that with acquiring aggressively, then holding the fort, and then consolidating and building out strategies that match that, it was really special for me to reflect on that journey, winning back to back now, to go back and say, wow, our clients are implementing what I've personally implemented. It's worked for me, it's working for them. And we're truly focusing on the client's outcomes through matching intentions and actions with what we do for them.
And I think it's important you're in the business of helping your clients create wealth through property investment. So you need to be a successful property investor yourself in order to give yourself the credibility to provide those services to customers. You want to be someone that other people want to emulate. To your point, you started investing in property a long time before you become a buyer's agent, but property investment probably gave you the confidence or the passion and the confidence to actually go and create your own business, which is now sort of 2 years running buyer's agency of the year. So a lot of people want to emulate that. Imagine that's a challenge as much as an opportunity, because not everyone can emulate successful property investors, or can they?
Look, they can and they can't. I think where they can't is if they isolate property as its own thing and property is just isolated, not connected.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I'm yet to meet a successful property investor that doesn't have a successful career, isn't in an older demographic that's had time on earth, and doesn't have successful financial habits. So it's a combination of time, career development, financial habits. Oh, and look, property investing, research, strategy, success, formulas, team comes together. Those who just isolate it and feel like you can run away from life's problems of financial management, run away from life's problems of a passion in a career that you grow and want to do and have long-term focus on, and then want to run away from long-term holding and long-term time, that's usually where you just don't emulate it. Because they either give one a go hoping for the home run every single time, and they either flukily make it happen and keep trying again and something goes wrong, or they don't make it happen, they get stung, they hate the idea of it, and they don't want to give it a go ever again. And so I often find that it can be emulated, but it needs to be someone who's got that mindset to think that property investing's a tool, the life is actually goal setting, financial management, actually having that passion and earnings potential or earnings that you want to see happen from your career and giving it a lot of time. And so I think from that perspective, that's where the emulation does truly happen.
People still say it, and you probably hear it all the time when you're meeting with clients for the first time, that might have the right mindset to take action, but they may be viewed probably not the right way, where someone will say, I just love property. Like, you hear it all the time. And I go, well, why? Like, I just love property. It's great. You know, and you go, well, why? Like, I don't love property. It's numbers on a spreadsheet to me. But it's a mechanism for wealth creation, right? And I think, again, for a lot of people, they get pulled into this idea of investing in property, and they think it's really easy because they see all these feeds on social media telling you how I bought this property under market value and this happened. It requires a lot of work, and it requires a lot of commitment, and it requires a lot of compromise, and you need to give up a lot if you want to be a successful property investor. And this is the mindset side of things for property investors. And no doubt, you know, to your point earlier on, you've gone down a pathway which is different to some buyer's agent. I don't have a view specifically what I think is the right way, because I don't own a buyer's agent's business and I don't plan to build one. However, you've got different ways of doing it. You've gone down a pathway of saying, we're just going to give all the information away, like completely democratise, whereas other people will say, we're not giving anything away because the stuff that we find is so proprietary, and, you know, in order to access that stuff, you need to be able to use this. I don't have a view on what the right way to go about doing it is, but I see two different models there, and you see success in both of them. But you've gone down, we'll just democratise the whole process. And by doing that, you drive business. So it's a lot of people think that would be counter-cyclical, whereas you give it every way, people can do it themselves. So the point is about the execution, right? It's all about the execution. Information is only as good as how you choose to act upon it or on it. Is that how you'll continue to frame the organisation moving forward, as pretty much an open book saying, what do you need? There you go.
Look, absolutely. You nailed it, Phil. So where I sat back and did some numbers was that if you were to just take our business from an investment property buying and not property buying in Australia, and you took around the average investment transactions that happen a year, that's around 175,000 if you just took it as the percentage of investment ownership as the percentage of transactions.
175,000 real estate for property investment.
Yeah. That's if you just basically took a 550K average or thereabouts, and you took the percentage of investorship owners and just put the same percentage to it. Then from there, if you decided to just take 1% of that market share and say 1% of all investment transactions in Australia use a buyer's agent, and not a buyer's agent, but the buyer's agency of the year, that would be $1,750 a year. I can tell you right now, Phil, there's no buyer's agency in the country that does that.
No, that's a huge volume.
That's right. Even us as buyer's agency of the year 2 years in a row, we don't do that. So what does that mean? That means that in this day and age, there is no shortage of business. There is no shortage of people that want help or are going to seek your help at some stage, whether it's today or in the future. Every year, there's that many transactions going on. As soon as I'd realized that was the moment to say, we are here taking out the award today on back-to-back without having 1%. So guys, we don't need to focus as a team just on trying to have the most transactions every single time and it's all transaction-based. Let's go out knowing that there is, even if we had 1%, there's still 99% more of investors. There's no shortage there. Let's go take a step back and just go, what are the things we can genuinely help with and create this here to help people genuinely, and just know off the back of that, people will reach out because there's a sub-segment of that 1% that goes, great information, I trust you, this is helpful to me. I didn't even come to you now off the back of one report. I went back to your reports from 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, the benefit of time and hindsight, and this happened. This is awesome. I now want to work with you because it's all been helpful. I've done it on my own journey, but now I'm time poor. I'm sick of wasting my weekends. I'm sick of missing out. I'm sick of looking online only and not having off-market property. I do know what I'm doing, but I don't want the risk of making a mistake. The government's databases, a flood check here, a bushfire here, an insurance check here, a Google satellite maps check here, a cash flow analysis here, it's too segmented. I don't want to have time to do all this. I want to leave this all with you. And so what I realized was that when you have a market that's that depth, you shouldn't be going at it the traditional way, which is, say, an industry that's far more developed, the banks, where they're getting, refinance wars, competition wars. Your competition does this, we do this better or that. There's no need for us to sledge. There's no need for us to focus on this. Let's just focus on our strategy, which is giving all that information, democratizing it, and looking back and going, the information's there, the clients are there, let's connect with the right ones that genuinely need the right help, rather than making everything a secret and attracting someone that may not really need help, kind of needs it, but not really, when they could have been on their way. And the moment that made me feel really special was literally 2 weeks ago. I had multiple people that had gone and done their own courses, multiple people that have gone and actually just purchased on their own and never used a professional, never used a course. And there are those that went and used other professionals, but fact-checked it with our data. And that was a special moment because they were all saying, hey, congratulations on this, congratulations on that. And I was just blown away with the support that we had on winning back-to-back. And when those messages came through, that was a special moment to go, we're on the right path. Because I don't care if you go and do someone else's course, go and use another professional, go and do it on your own. As long as you're enriched, you're feeling that of value, remember, the best in the country doesn't have 1%. We're going to be just fine. You go do what you got to do, we'll be just fine. And I know that we'll meet and connect with the best clients that want our help, that actually need it. And that to me is very fulfilling, both from a business and strategic direction.
Yeah, and it's good that you have confidence around the pathway that you're on. And I don't know the exact numbers of how many properties are sold every single year which are related to investment property purchases. So I'm going to have to trust your numbers on it. But irrespective, it's a big market, right? It's a huge market. And what I would say is that having been at the Reb Awards this month, it's a very collegiate industry. And I think that's because the pie is so big and it's growing. So, there is some competition, friendly competition amongst buyers agents, but I think all buyers agents actually understand and appreciate they're at a moment in time where they have entered a sector which is still very young. When I was at the awards, I caught up with Rich Harvey, who you know Rich Harvey, and one of the original buyers agents. He's probably been going for nearly, 15 years, maybe 2 decades now. And you've got this cohort of this current generation of buyers agents, yourself included, who are, still at the formative moment in time of the development of this industry. Occasionally get criticism, which I'm okay with, which pretty much says, why do you always talk about buyers agents using a buyers agent? And I don't. Most property investors still do it themselves rather than use a buyer's agency. So I'm happy to advocate the sector because I think it is a capability, to all those reasons why you said, for a lot of investors to actually start thinking about using a buyer's agent. I still use a buyer's agent for most of my stuff. I'll buy stuff individually, but I have access to all the best and brightest minds in real estate in Australia. I can pick up my phone and speak to anyone. I can get proprietary research and information that no one else can get at an aggregated or curated level. And I still revert to buyers agents to make investment decisions. And that's just a choice for me. So, any way in which we can continue to advocate the growth of this sector, because I think people still get property investment really wrong. And you hear stories all the time. You probably spend most of your time and your team unraveling poor purchases to recalibrate portfolios to get people on the right track. And I imagine that is a big part of what you do. People who haven't made the right decisions initially with the assets they've chosen, and they've decided to go and find someone to help them out with it. And therein is the reason why you're going to see ongoing growth and development in buyers agents in Australia. So your philosophy around it, which is to democratise information, it seems to work for you. You've won this award back-to-back, Buyers Agency of the Year for REB. Can you go 3 times? You spoke about this sort of transformation process, and transformation is something which the best businesses is ongoing. You never get to the end. You're always changing something. What more do you need to do? Are you going to be able to win 3 years in a row by doing the same thing is the question.
I think the same thing, no. Short answer is no, because without knowing who the judges are, without knowing the judges' minds, I have to think that they would probably be sitting there and questioning,
who's this guy?
Third in a row, right? So I think you have to come in with something extra special. And we're working towards that. We're really, really working towards that, because I try and break it down to 3 things, right? One is financial business success. One is your client success. Then the other is your philosophies, strategies, and the tangibles of what you're doing, right? And so these are the 3 things that any sort of awards look at. And when these 3 things are looked at, we look at these categories and go, okay, business financial success. We're growing 50% year on year and have not stopped doing that.
Revenue growth.
Yeah, revenue growth for the last now 6 years. So if we're basing it on every year growing 50%, then we're doing our best to maintain that, and we are, which means that if we have the third one, we're a tick for that, unless someone's just come and blown out of the water on that side. Then the second one is your client success. We still have a 5 out of 5 star rating for our client reviews. Our repeat advocacy rate is off the chains. And we can make sure that every single week we could post a case study of someone getting to 5 to 10 properties using our services. So actually constructing portfolios. The third thing now is what we're tangibly doing different and or more. And that's the work on progress. And our focus right now for this third year is to actually double down on technology investment to continue that journey of we're researchers that happen to buy property. The second thing is really focusing in on the quality and depth of the information at high levels of consistency. So there's research in terms of what you can give out, platform reports and all that sort of stuff. But have you ever seen those websites where the blogs go from 1 a week to 4 a week to 10 a week, and then you suddenly realize, ChatGPT is starting to get thrown in here and all the stuff has started to just become really basic and I'm not getting the depth? Our goal is, how do we keep scaling with information quality without dropping off? And that's the key there.
And that is absolutely critical. One of the biggest challenge we have now everywhere, but let's talk specifically around property investment, whether it's buying property, selling property or whatever. It's for the business of real estate is misinformation and disinformation. And this is a big issue. And I know politicians, federal politicians, where this is firmly in their wheelhouse, right? You know, it's a major concern how people are making decisions off information which isn't factual. And disinformation is where someone deliberately proliferates information which isn't accurate and for some sort of nefarious reason and or for some objective they're trying to read or meet. Misinformation is where people just assume that is actual and factual and they keep distributing that information. And in property, you mainly see a lot of misinformation. So someone says something and it gets picked up and just does the rounds. You see it all the time. So, you know, the utility of technology is enabling people to communicate with greater speed. We've done the test. We can produce full podcasts now and video of my voice, you know, reading a script I have nothing to do with, right? Like it's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
The key for property investors is going to be understand the efficacy of the information that they're consuming. So when you start seeing someone communicating 50 times a month around something, you just know it's created, leveraging, you know, communications tools. Now, if the core data, the core resource, the primary information is incorrect, deliberately or not deliberately, misinformation, disinformation, just going to propagate it. So people are going to start making really bad decisions based on the wrong information. So the responsibility of the property investor is, okay, how do you stress test and how do you ensure that the information that you're using has the efficacy to support good decision making? It's going to come back to the human. Do it yourself, that's fine, but you need to be very careful. So why not have a trusted advocate on your side who can help? And I think in many ways that will be an accelerator for the buyer's agency sector moving forward, much like the mortgage broking industry. You know, people need to dial in with a human. So leverage technology as well as you can.
Yeah.
Use it for the right reason. Use it as an enabler to move with the greatest speed or efficiencies, but it's still going to come down to the input. So
that's right. And it's also about how you channel that technology and input into your actions rather than just having it there. Like, for example, our data is becoming more and more available in our business, right? Yeah. And we're now channeling that to a whole new level. So one of the big things is we're getting technology to really focus in on tracking all the quantity and frequency of activities the buyer's agent team do. Because remember, as the industry grows, and if we're trying to really work towards this third in a row, we need to make sure that we're having the A players in our team to deliver our clients the best results. And that point of technology and information use, it's not just from that client-centric view, it's also internally as a team. What can you use it to get better? Of late, the biggest things for us have been actually on the buyer's agent and acquisitions team and their frequency of outbound connecting with sales agents. And so we're starting to work to some really cool formulas. Like, for example, recently we had a team member who's got a ratio of 4 connects to 1 qualified off-market. And so to simplify that for everyone, we call a connect not a dial, but an actual physical conversation. So whether that took you 20 dials to pick up, have 4 people pick up and speak to you, and by people I'm referring to sales agents, we're getting 4 connects, right? So now those 4 connects are referring into 1 off-market. That means that off-market's qualified because we get loads of junk ones. Oh, here's an off-market, it's 50K price, too high. Here's an off-market, it's on a main road. Here's an off-market, it's got a derelict swimming pool, an unapproved shed, and just things go on crazy. So we're talking qualified. Now we've got that ratio, 4-to-1, because we're tracking all these calls and activities. Then we've got a ratio of qualified off-markets passing our clients' checks and our clients' briefs. It's about 80%. And so we start to dial this up, and we're now getting an activity space where our team can go, hey, we are going to generate 20 to 40 off-markets in a week for our clients. Remember, Phil, without data, without the inputs, without research, without focus, how can you get your clients that extraordinary outcome? And so now as a result, we're able to use all this research, all this input, use the technology that's out there with the softwares to track and measure and quality. And now we can come back and give our consumers an extra outcome, a better outcome. So yeah, like you said, the technology of the world is changing really quickly, but how can you harness that not just for your customers, but for your team? Because now our team has visibility to go, hey, hold on a minute. If I make 20 extra phone calls today, I'm going to have better outcomes for my clients and get them properties that don't exist on the market. And I'm going to give them an X factor that others just don't get. And so that's really key in technology usage.
Let's get into some of that, Arjun. We'll just go to a quick break. Everyone stay with us. Back in a moment. Welcome back. It's Phil Tarrant for Smart Property Investment, chatting with Arjun Paliwal at InvestorKit. He's the director over there, founder. He's also a regular guest on the Smart Property Investment Show.
So general question, but I'll conclude with this. Winning awards for your business, why does it matter?
Yeah, so for us, the biggest thing, Phil, is it matters because it's recognition of the pathway and the journey we're on. It's not the outcome. The outcome's always going to be how many clients, fast forward 10, 15 years, are set in life. Like that's the outcome.
Yeah.
The second outcome is how many team members did you have jobs created for? Did you positively impact everyone's families? And they could also do the same for property investing because they're enriched with their property knowledge being in our company. And then off the back of that is just the things that replicate, or I guess not replicate, but I'd say demonstrate the journey in play. And that's awards. Awards are a demonstration of the journey in play. They're not the outcome. So if we never won a Buyer's Agency of the Year award, does that change our goal of helping people wind the clock forward, look back and go, hey, we're doing pretty good? That doesn't change that. But is it a recognition that you're doing a damn good job at it and you're helping many people along the way, both in your team and clients? That's what it's for. So it's just that journey and that visualization of the journey. And it's another push to go, keep going, because you know you're on the right path from making research fully available, getting people extraordinary outcomes. And the latest thing, since like a post-COVID era thing, is something called portfolio construct. And that part's been really important for it because we're constructing portfolios not for the hottest market at the time, but for how to build a portfolio that's diverse, risk managed, and looking back many years later will hit their client's goal.
Well, it's good to be client orientated because that's how you support business growth. You're only as good as the people you service. But no doubt on the Friday after the Thursday winning that award, your team members were like, I've made the right decision joining this organisation to work with and build a career around. So are you currently always recruiting? Are people going, oh, I want to go and work for InvestorKit?
Yeah, we're always recruiting. Yeah. There's always something on. I wouldn't say at high volumes, but the frequency of always something on is there. One of the biggest things we're learning for recruiting in recent times, though, has been the importance of like 2 parts. One is what I call the challenge. And this is something interesting. I'm not sure if you've applied this in your business, Phil. Businesses, we started having challenges that people would go and do as part of the journey rather than just your typical resume and interviews. And that's been something pretty special. What I've seen, like, for example, we had a challenge of how many off markets could you get before you even get the job, right?
Okay.
And the amount of results that we had, like, people were getting off markets like crazily. And so what it shows, by the way, is that off markets aren't just for professionals, they're for everyday people, but you need time and energy and effort, and they put aside that time. But that was one big thing on the recruitment side. But the second biggest thing is I'm focused on now creating pathway roles rather than just a role. And that's something being new in our business this year. So instead of just going, hey, everyone come in as a buyer's agent, let's grow the buyer's agent division, I'm realizing that property buying experience alone is not good enough. Like, many people buy property. There's an element of property buying, attention to detail, that client care, accountability, that proactive and outbound communication. It's getting tougher and tougher because the more the industry grows, the more passionate people there are out there that are going to compete with us to deliver the clients the best outcome. And it's not like every bit of stock on the internet or off market's ours. Everyone's having their fair share and fair go, which I love about it.
Yeah.
But that's helping us create recruitment journeys, which are like, hey, no, before buyer's agency, there's associate roles. Before associate, it's client management. And so I think that's been a big part of our recruiting part, to make sure that we're, yes, always hiring and getting the best of the best, but we're having a pathway rather than the end role.
And pathways are key for your organisations. And whenever we recruit people, we always do it with a view of pathways. But it always comes down to recruitment. I know a lot of sales agent or property managers are now looking towards the buyer's agency space as somewhere to build a pathway for career. And my view of it all is that organisations can provide the best possible opportunity for you through everything that makes it a good company to work for. But it's incumbent on the professional, the individuals, to create their own pathway as well. So if you can marry an organisation that is going places, InvestorKit, for example, plus an ambitious professional who's looking to grow and evolve, and I always view it with layering, right? You've got to layer skills, keep layering skills, and that's how you create opportunities. But you've got to hitch yourself to the right cart. And it sounds like InvestorKit is one of them. Earlier days in our business, and we still grow at a rapid rate. It's fierce, but many years of sort of, being one of the fastest growing companies in Australia, multiple years, 4 or 5 years in a row or something or other, is pretty heavy going. So enjoy it, mate.
Yeah.
Enjoy it while you can. Keep at it. Keep doing it. And I can see why you're successful. You've got the right philosophy, and importantly, it sounds as though you care. And that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with that care part, whether it's a business or career, it's got to really be there. I haven't seen someone get a career after success because they clocked in, clocked out perfectly, or didn't care about their outcomes for clients or their outcomes for their company. It's all part of that. And so definitely a journey that I think more important than just me caring. So I've been very, very blessed with the team that we have on board today. They've all cared just as much, if not more. And to see that culture of respectful challenge in the team, to see that culture of everyone coming together to help each other, these simple things that you sometimes take for granted as if everything should be there. But being in business communities, I'm realizing that's not there. And one of the biggest things I hear in the community businesses are, it's tough to get good people. I don't think that's the case at all. It's not tough to get good people, because if that was the case, I must be the luckiest man alive.
Well, you're doing something right. And, looking at your title here, Director and Head of Research, is sense to where your focus. My former role, I'm head of content of this organisation, because we're an information company. So you're the head of research because you're a research company. So all the clues are there where you're heading strategically. Which is excellent. Arjun Paliwal, Director, Head of Research, InvestorKit, mate. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much, Phil.
And maybe we'll be here again in a year's time, but go 3 in a row, mate. I don't know about that, mate. There's a lot of good people nipping at your heels now, but that's the ongoing growth of the buyer's agent sector in Australia. Remember to go and check out realestatebusiness.com.au if you want to tune into conversations around property investment. smartpropertyinvestment.com.au. You'll see us there as well. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Until then, bye-bye.
The information featured in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into consideration your financial situation or individual needs and should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance, tax, property or financial planning decision, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. Guests appearing on this podcast may have a commercial relationship with the companies mentioned.
Feeling trapped by rising interest payments? Escape from mortgage prison with expert refinancing assistance from Finny. We have helped hundreds of borrowers break free from higher loan repayments by finding a more suitable loan. Our expert team can quickly assess your situation, and if there's a better lender available, we'll find it fast. Don't delay. Call today. Speak to a Finny mortgage specialist on 02 8866 2444 or visit our website at www.finny.com.au.